Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to the CNBC TV18 special as we bring you the Ease of Doing Business Town Hall here from the National Capital Region. I'm Shireen Bhan. We've got a great audience here with us, people who believe in India, who have decided to put their money where their mouth is and bet on India. Investors here from the US, from Singapore, Israel, China, UK, Russia. The list is long and the investors are distinguished. The big headline, of course, coming in from the World Bank, where India has jumped 30 spots to emerge at the number 100 position on the Ease of Doing Business Index. The attempt, the effort and the aim is now to break into the top 50. The team that's going to be spearheading those efforts join us here today, the DIPP Secretary Ramesh Abhishek, and also the young team from Invest India, led very ably by their CEO DIPP. Well, a big round of applause to each of you gentlemen and to your teams for ensuring that we've broken into the top 100 on the Ease of Doing Business Index. Mr. Abhishek, let me start by asking you, sir, as I said, it's mission 50 now as far as the DIPP and the government is concerned. Yesterday in my conversation with the Commerce Minister, he said, I've put the DIPP in charge of putting forward a new industrial policy, which means that we're going to do away with a whole bunch of regulations. What should we now realistically expect, sir?
Yeah, our ease of doing business effort is very comprehensive. It's happening in the central government, state governments, regulators. So rank jump that we have seen so far is significant and it's very motivating. But the amount of work that we are doing is actually amounts to a big movement in the country. So I think we are going to go places, Shireen.
Going to go places, and that number, as I said, is 50. What is the broad timeline that you're working with now, Mr. Abhishek, by when India could actually break into the top 50?
See, we would like to break into this
tomorrow,
if not today. Yeah, but you know, the credibility of the World Bank ranking is because of their rigorous analysis and their evaluation and the integrity of the data. So they have to hear from the users on the ground that things are working. And the rank jump has also happened because they got that feedback. But we have a lot to do. We are doing a lot. So very difficult to predict because other countries are also working hard. But I'm sure that we will get there sooner than later.
Well, it is about relative performance, as you pointed out. But if I could ask you, sir, in order of priority now, what are the areas that you're going to be focusing on? What is it that specifically foreign investors now should expect in terms of the areas where improvement is expected?
See, some of the areas like, you know, insolvency and bankruptcy code, that's a very important area. And now with NCLT, NCLAT working, we'll have actually some cases that have taken to the logical conclusion. That will lead to a lot of improvement in rank next year. Enforcement of contract is a big deal. So we are going to have more and more commercial courts in Delhi and Mumbai also after the law is suitably changed for which work is happening. I think enforcing contract is very critical for foreign investors as well. So I think some of these plus procedural, you know, simplification in FDI, in many other matters. So that is where the investment facilitation by Invest India and the investor promotion agencies of the states matter. Because till we have complete ease of doing business, we need investments. So that is where Invest India and other investment promotion agencies come in.
Since you're talking about investment, let me come to you, DIPP. At Invest India, you're trying to facilitate investments into the country. We've seen record FDI flows into India. Do you believe that that number is going to be sustainable? Do you believe we can improve on that? And what will we need to do further to ensure that the flow continues to come in?
So I think, Shireen, there was a key word which the Secretary mentioned, movement. I think this is just the beginning of the story. And the international investor today has recognized that India is the place to be. In fact, virtually in all boardrooms across the globe, the discussion is not should they be looking at India. The discussion is now moved to how it should be looking at India. And that's where Invest India comes in, because they're looking at somebody who hands-hold them through the entire investment process. And that's what Invest India is doing right from the stages of intent to converting it to investment.
Okay, so specifically if I were to ask you, because if we look at the FDI numbers, Mauritius continues to be right at the top, followed by Singapore. We're looking for new export markets, but what about new geographies that we're going to tap into in terms of bringing FDI into India?
So I think that's very interesting. If you look at the pie chart as we draw it today, it's not that our original players have gone down on the level of investment. In fact, they have increased substantially. But the share of the new ones coming up is very great. And if you're looking at on a geographic basis, we can look at the planet on the entire east side of it, which is coming in very, very seriously. And you're seeing a large level of investment and deal flow coming in from there, including the old ones like Europe and across the Atlantic. But yes, we've got a number of new players. In fact, we've done 100,000 queries so far from 114 countries across 47 sectors.
100,000 queries from 114 countries, okay. Across
47 sectors.
Okay.
So it's becoming very broad-based today, and that interest has spread across the globe.
Okay, it's very broad-based. Mr. Abhishek, let me ask you, sir, what would be the top 5 new markets that you think the government, the DIPP, Invest India, etc., will focus on, which could be the new providers of big-ticket FDI into India?
The major investments were coming from Mauritius and Singapore because of the tax avoidance treaty, as you know. Now that is tapering down with the new agreements in place. So I think the major markets and the major countries we are looking at are US, of course. It's a big source of investment. And Japan has really ramped up almost 60% jump in last 1 year. And China, of course, we are looking at China, Korea, and European countries, and UAE, another very major country. But there are a whole lot of other countries as well. But some of the countries that I can think of right now are these. We are looking at long-term funds from Canada, for example.
Okay.
We had a great meeting yesterday.
Pension funds specifically.
Pension funds, absolutely. Actually, we have to make things simpler. We have to facilitate. That is where the key is. Foreign investors are very excited.
Let me ask some of the foreign investors, and I'd appreciate it if you could raise your hands and I'll get the microphone across to you. I'll come across to you. What has the experience been so far? What is the big difference that you see, perceptible difference that you see on the ground? What more is it that you would like to see the Indian government do to facilitate a greater share of investment into India? Appreciate if you could raise your hands and I'll come across to you. Yes, sir. If you could identify yourself, tell us which sector you belong to, and what is your experience so far? What more would you like to see happen?
Sure. Hi, this is Amar Varyawa from Vestas Wind Technology India Private Limited. We are from renewable energy sector, and we are a Danish company, globally #1 with 85 gigawatt installation. Now, when we decided to put up our manufacturing unit, I mean, we were not sure, whom to approach, how to approach, and when it is going to be possible. And definitely, it was a big task for us. Luckily, the Invest India came to our rescue. They, felicitate us the step-by-step process. And as a result, what I can tell you is that within the 15 months of record time, we have put up our full-fledged state-of-the-art manufacturing unit in the state of Gujarat. And as you know that to put up any shop like that, you need at least 20 to 25 licenses, clearances, permissions. And some of those licenses are so critical that it can affect your entire lead time of the project. But thanks to the team of Deepak Bagla, they actually helped us on all those critical areas where we were not sure whether the things will go in the right manner.
So how much more can we expect you to invest?
See, now the question is, we have put up the blade factory for around 600 megawatt capacity. Now, we are waiting for Indian market to, further improve on the wind sector. And I hope that, post 2018, the market will bounce back with a major, installation base, and definitely we will think about it at that point in time. Thank you.
So the only thing that's holding you back is commercial viability at this point in time, not so much government clearances or anything of that sort. Okay, all right. More questions and more comments here. Yes.
Hi, my name is Arvind Chawla. I head Uralkali, which is the largest potash miner in the world. It's a Russian company. We've been in the country for about 12 years. Currently in a marketing, trading outfit kind of a thing, but we've been sitting on the sidelines. It's interesting that I actually moved from Russia to Singapore to India because I believed in India. So the brand India was important for me. And I always pushed it within the company also. And finally, in the last 2 years, I think with engagement with Invest India, Make in India, all these initiatives, I feel that we have someone to engage with. We've obviously done a lot of government liaison. We've been in touch with the government. Government has always been supportive, especially because the Russia friendship angle and the trade angle. But I think what has happened now is that we have a dedicated team who listens to your problems, and I think kind of tries to, like, we have a couple of bottlenecks which we discussed at the last CEO forum, and I believe that they're already in process where they would be simplified. So I do believe that I think things are going to go pretty well for India.
Well, Stakeholder feedback is what we're getting here on live television. I'll get one more comment and then come back to you, Secretary. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks, Shireen. I'm Vipul Tuli. I head up Semcorp in India. We are an energy company based out of Singapore. Came into India in 2009, so relatively young, 8 years for this industry. But we've, as you said, we believe in India, and we've actually put our money where our mouth is. We have about between $4 and $5 billion of investment in India at the moment. We are a long-term investor. For us, the biggest belief is the long-term growth potential of India. So we are still at 1,000 or 1,100 units per capita consumption of energy. So we have a long way to go. Invest India has been fabulous. For us, I would say it's a friend in the government. It helps us provide or hold up a mirror to the government. Sometimes there are things you can't say as clearly, or you don't want to say as clearly, and they do, I think, a fabulous job in that, so thank you. And at the same time, I found them very good also in matching investors to opportunities. So they're constantly at our office saying, okay, what else do you want to do? So we invest in renewables, we invest in thermal, we invest in water recycling, etc., etc. Your last question about what's working well and what could be better, I think probably the most palpable thing that's working better is a sense of purpose in the government. So this is a government that picks what they want to do and they get it done. You may or may not always agree with something will always, help some company on it, but it's a sense of purpose. That really helps. There's much more transparency. So for an international player, it makes a big difference. When you see level playing fields, you see competitive bidding, you see real earnest resolution of issues. What could be better? I think the same as was said here. I think a little bit more focus on long-term sustainability of investments, not just tariffs.
Thank you for those comments, and let me come to you, Mr. Abhishek, with the point that we've heard from our investors here. And I think this is specific, for instance, to the renewable energy sector, where the one feedback is that there is an obsession almost with tariff and not with commercial viability or long-term sustainability. How do you address what is being raised as genuine, honest feedback from investors, sir?
One of the things that we have been doing rather well in last couple of years is to get such feedback about every sector, the various policies, whether it's tariff or other regulatory issues, things getting stuck. And then we take up these issues with the concerned ministries or the state governments. There will be always issues or problems, but the important thing is the engagement. And then we take up the issues with those ministries and regulators and try to sort it out. And that's a continuous process. So
where are you seeing, sir, still unaddressed issues? What continues to be the single biggest challenge that you would want to focus your energy and your attention on? Especially when it comes to the center-state issue, because a lot of the approvals, licenses, clearances are not in your hands. They're at the level of the state government's hands, and that's where sometimes, problems arise.
Actually, one of the things that has happened in the last 3 years, the states are also having a very strong commitment and sense of purpose. They know that it's a very competitive environment, just the way it's a competitive environment for the country. So they are also working hard to address all these issues. And our teams are working very closely with the states. Okay. So it's a
there is a coordinated action plan.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me, in fact, I'll come to you in just 1 second, sir, and Rajneesh, I'll come to you as well. But let me come to you, Raja, because I want to pick up on this point that the Secretary mentioned here on the competitive federalism that we're seeing and states sort of being in race with one another to try and draw in big-ticket investments. What's the experience on the ground, and what more do you believe needs to be done to get this coordinated action to really be aligned?
Thank you, Shireen. So we follow a tripartite method wherein we bring in the state as well as the center in one meeting, wherein the issues and recommendations are discussed and resolved in one go. So there is no back and forth movement. Specifically with the state-center coordination, from center, DIPP has started something called the BRAP, Business Reform Action Plan, wherein they rate state on 340 parameters. So now, as you mentioned, the competitive federalism part is playing well. States also know that they need to be higher on the ranks so that they attract more investments. So on the state-center collaboration, BRAP is something that has gone a long way in promoting that collaboration.
Well, That is good to hear. Rajneesh here representing Walmart India. I know that Walmart has big plans for India. Rajneesh, you are still awaiting some clarification from the government on specific policies like the food retail policy. But broadly, what is it that you, beyond that specific clarification, your bet on India and what more you would like to see?
From a state perspective, and I think I'll share an example, sir. 2 weeks back, we opened a fulfillment center in Mumbai, which is ready to serve the Mumbai from a B2B perspective. In 60 days flat, we got all approvals, and this is really that sort of a clear example or evidence of the way the center and the states are working very closely. And I think this competitive environment is really helping because both states and center and all of us are really on the same page because all of us want to create job and that shared value. So we see it on the ground, and I know sometimes the rankings which you see that is a really rare improvement, but on grounds on the states, at least what we have seen, it's actually far better
than what the ranking suggests.
That's
okay,
right.
that's good to hear. Yes, sir, you had a comment to make. Let me get you the microphone. You can use that one. Yeah.
Yes. My name is Shalin Shet. I am from TG Advait India Private Limited. I am an equity holder of the company and managing director. I want to exactly address the issue where he talked about the relationship between central and state government and custodians. When we contacted Make in India first time, because we were hearing a lot of boom about Make in India, so I tried by putting a Google and send a simple email that what they are doing, let me see. Within 24 hours, I got an email, and in next morning, I got a call from somebody called Uday that this is, sir, what we can do for you. And the same day, we received a list of approval which is required to put up a plant in my state. They also mentioned how much time it is going to take.
Okay.
And since from the day, it was June 2016, now this time, for any approvals, wherever we are writing any emails, we have been always copying to them. We are finding that your team is a part of my team. And yes, I want to give this message to investors community that India में जो पहले था कि होता है चलता है ऐसा नहीं है. You got somebody who really understand your concerns.
Okay.
They have been not only a part of my team, but they were also supporting me for choosing the right land, giving the right policies, and now they're also helping us for giving us the capex support from the MSIPs and the local state level subsidies kind of thing. So they've got a fantastic knowledge.
So where is Uday? Uday, are you here? Well, let me come to you, Uday. So he says that everything that's happened for him in India is courtesy you. So how did you make it happen? Who do you know in the government?
No, especially after the Make in India launch, the attitude change which has come in the government is significant, not at the central level, also at the state level. So even for small projects, states are coming forward and they are thinking of changing policies which have never happened. It's not like a big investor has to come and then they will move forward. Even for small things, small policy changes, small investors, they are coming forward and assisting us also. So it's a collaboration between central, state and the investors. So things are really moving forward very quickly.
Okay, well, good job, and a big round of applause to Uday as well. But Mr. Abhishek, let me come back to you, sir, because if you look at the data, then the services sector continues to attract the highest inbound FDI, and that's followed by sectors like telecom, etc. So when we talk about Make in India, sir, and we talk about manufacturing, our aspiration is to take the manufacturing share to 25% of GDP. We're currently at about 15, 16%, sir. What more can be done to ensure that Make in India really gets the takeoff that it needs?
With more and more technologies, Industry 4.0 coming in, the difference between manufacturing and services are also often getting blurred. Now more and more manufacturers are actually expected to provide services rather than the products. And our retail market needs to develop. And a lot of investments are coming in developing the e-commerce and the retail market, which is also very important. Our logistics infrastructure needs to improve so much. So a lot of investments are coming in that area.
Okay.
So I think all these are getting clubbed into services because sometimes the classification is not so scientific.
Okay.
But we are getting investments in manufacturing, but more in services, financial services.
Right.
Another, major artery of our markets and our economy. So I think investors, of course, put their money wherever they find it profitable. But we are pretty happy with the way things are.
Okay. Payal, let me ask you, when you talk to CEOs from different countries, what is it that they're telling you about the sectors that they would like to invest in outside of the obvious sectors? What could be the potential new sunrise sectors, for instance, that could attract foreign investment?
Thank you, Shireen. So, we have gone for events and road shows and met a whole lot of investors one-on-one. And it is heartening to see that it's not just the services industry, for which India is typically known for, but also the manufacturing industry, industries like renewable, industries like waste to energy, food processing.
Okay.
A huge.
We just had the World Food India
We just had
event.
the World Food event, and Deepak, when he spoke about the sectors and the queries that we are getting in, the predominant portion of that is from food processing, tourism.
Okay.
Food processing, tourism, renewable, automobiles, still the sunrise industry for us. And a whole lot of questions around what are the specific opportunities that India today has for the global world.
So since Payal just talked about how automobiles continue to generate excitement and interest, let me ask you, sir, what happened to Tesla? Is Tesla coming to India or not?
We welcome all investments in manufacturing, including Tesla. Tesla, Apple, everybody is most welcome.
I'm glad you brought up Apple on your own. That was going to be my next question to you.
Just trying to help your TRPs.
So give me a headline, sir. Tesla, Apple. What's the story?
See, people, whoever wants to come, they have to abide by the rules of the game here. So if you want to import...
no relaxation.
So you want to import, obviously you have to pay import duty. You want to retail, your single brand retail, you have to do the 30% local sourcing. So all the rules apply to everyone unless you can really show that you deserve any relaxation from the rules.
So Tesla and Apple haven't been able to show you that they deserve any special relaxation?
Not yet. We are working on it.
Not yet. We're working on it. On that note, we're going to take our first commercial break, but don't go anywhere. Things are getting exciting here at the CNBC TV18 Ease of Doing Business Town Hall in association with Invest India. Back in a moment. Come right back. You're watching the Ease of Doing Business Town Hall here on CNBC TV18 in association with Invest India. We've got foreign investors here from countries like UK, Singapore, Israel, Russia, China, talking about investing in India, their experience and what they would expect from the government. Also here with us, the DIPP Secretary, Ramesh Abhishek. We were talking about manufacturing just before we went into the break. I want to come to you, sir, to give me a sense of what it would take for you to put more money into India, to shift more production lines into India.
Thank you, Shireen. My perspective is one of about 20 years of working in the automotive industry in India, off and on, and now in the railway industry. So if I just sort of start from now, at Bombardier, we're actually using India as an export base. That story you can see repeated in the automotive industry. And it's a very different story when you look at it. I can take names because I think this is all public knowledge. But let's say the first company I was with, General Motors. Today, General Motors is still operating in India as a manufacturing base. And two other companies that I was associated with more recently are both operating in India with about 40 to 50% of their production being exported. So in terms of manufacturing in India and being competitive globally, yes, it can be done, proven across at least the automotive industry and now the railway industry. I think there's a second element to this, Shireen, which is first you invest in India, but then you decide to reinvest what you are winning or invest more. Now that is the key. Right. I think where companies need to focus on is how do you adapt yourself to India, given that the rules of engagement I think are very clear, which is you have to localize more in manufacturing. It is very key. You have to adapt your products to the local conditions. Is that happening or not? And it's a lot of your internal processes, as the late C.K. Prahlad used to say, local. Somewhere along the way, many multinationals, I think, have forgotten simple word called local. If you try to run an Indian operation the way you're running an operation in America or Europe, it simply doesn't work. Not that you have to cut corners, not that you have to do anything wrong, but you have to adapt yourself to the local conditions in a proper way. So I think that's very, very important, and I think the automotive industry shows it again and again and again.
Well, that it certainly does. I just want to take that point forward, and maybe there are other investors here with comments on that specific issue of using India as an export hub, using India as an export base. The move towards the goods and services tax will certainly alleviate a lot of the pains and the pressures that foreign investors were facing as things stabilize. But anybody here wants to share experiences of using India as an export hub? Yes, sir, you wanted to come in.
Dr. Abhishek Garg from VSN Mobile. We have invested in India to make mobile phones manufacturing in India. Almost 2,500 job generations, and we are producing more than 1 million phones a month in India as of now, and investing more, getting into further backward integration. Now, one piece was very interesting, that the day one we had consolidated list that these all approvals and licenses you would be required to run a company in India, a factory in India. Wherever there was a problem, there is a gentleman who is helping us to get us out. We have to just bring in our capital, our customer, and our machinery. So till here, I think this piece is pretty well as far as our industrial sector, whether which is we will call it as the electronic manufacturing services is concerned. So this piece is fine. Now, eventually, what sir was saying, that it is more of now adaptation of India as a manufacturing hub, and eventually to convert that into an export. Now here the challenges are still there, which I mean I'm sure government is working on that, like labor laws reforms and whatever sir has also, Abhishek sir has also spoken, that all those points to be taken care. And eventually for export we need a conducive environment as far as entrepreneurs' exposure to overseas markets. So Indian entrepreneur is still in a mode that we will import and use the domestic market because we are one of the biggest market of the world. So I think we are a mile away from the export thing. But then the operational piece has to be fixed immediately.
The operational piece has to be fixed immediately, and I think a lot of what we've heard here from the government as well as the Invest India team is an effort to be able to do that. But let me also talk about the other big focus area, and that is Startup India, which has also been something, Mr. Abhishek, that you've been looking at the DIPP. There has been a slowdown in the startup ecosystem over the past 2 years. We have seen the number of startups that were being set up coming down quite significantly. New startups in 2016 were about 6,000. We're down to about 800 now if I look at the data. What more can we expect now in terms of nurturing the startup ecosystem?
You know, when we talk about funding going down or number of startups coming down, we are only looking at the big ticket fundings by the venture capital funds. Actually, what we need to see is those hundreds of millions of young people who want to become entrepreneurs today.
Yes.
We need to provide them with the ecosystem and the enablers in the environment, like large number of incubators. We are setting up tinkering labs. We need to have seed funding. We need to have marketing support for them. We need to do all this so that we reach out to tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities as well.
Okay.
So I think what we are doing, what the government is doing, is a comprehensive intervention in the startup space, providing them equity. Now we are going to have a credit guarantee fund. We are providing marketing support. We are connecting them to investors through our hub. There are a whole lot of interventions. There are laws which are not meant for startups. So we are trying to change the laws for angel investors, for different types of funding, etc., and the way the companies work.
So can we expect something on that front in the budget, sir? Is that going to be a specific recommendation that you make to the finance minister?
Just the other day we had a meeting with Chairman Secy with 20 angel investor groups in the country about how the angel investor groups can be regulated so that they take advantage of Section 56 of Income Tax Act. So there are a lot of things that we are trying to do. I mean, not everything can be done in a day, but it's a process and we are working on it.
Okay, we've got some startups here as well with us. Let me ask you about A, the experience, B, what more would you like to see happen?
So my name is Prashant Tandon. I run 1MG, a digital health startup. We received a lot of support from the Invest India team, so I must congratulate and compliment the team here on that. In our business, healthcare by definition is a regulated industry, and innovation by definition is doing things in a new way. So that's where the dichotomy really comes. And
but that's the case world over, right? I mean,
And
regulation is always a step behind innovation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what's heartening now is the attitude has changed, and innovation is being welcomed. And in a complex space like this, where we need Ministry of Health, Ministry of IT, Ministry of Commerce, CDSCO, dealing with a lot of parties, I think the support that we are getting in just having somebody in the government who's our good friend, I think that itself is encouraging.
Okay.
What more needs to be done? Quite a bit. So I think that's...
Give me the top 3 priorities that you would like the government to focus on.
I think regulations implementation at the state level, there's still a lot of work. There's a lot of issues that need to be sorted out in that one big piece. The second important piece, I think, is speed. Things are moving, but they need to move faster. Attrition is what kills startups. And that's back and forth, because frankly, some of these decisions don't take long. It's just the process still takes long. So I think for us, a single window and a quick process is what is critically important. And third is, I think in healthcare, innovation needs to be and will be unleashed, but there needs to be a way to deal with regulation for anybody, because nobody wants to break rules. I think we need to just have a conducive environment for that. And frankly, it does require policy support.
Ms. Abhishek, just on that point of innovation and supporting innovation, sir, and it's not just for the healthcare sector. There's a bunch of sectors, including financial technology. The fintech industry is also talking about the need for faster regulatory changes to keep pace with innovation. Countries like Singapore actually adopt a sandbox approach where they test, in a pilot phase, etc., and then move forward with regulation much more faster. Is that something perhaps that we would be considering, sir?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we can definitely look at. But what we have done, for example, e-pharmacy and a whole lot of issues on taxes and regulations, we have been interacting with the stakeholders. We bring them under the same roof and we try to sort it out. But, I must mention here that we are also about to start ranking of states on their support to startups. And one of the criteria we plan to do is how much regulatory support they give to startups. And that
so this is going to be a new index altogether?
Absolutely, new index and support of states to startups. Because, this actually, such a ranking brings the issues to the forefront of political and administrative discourse.
When do you start this, sir?
Hopefully 1st December.
1st December,
Absolutely.
The DIPP launches the ease of doing business for startups, a ranking of states.
Support to startups by the states.
Support to startups by states. So that's going live on the 1st of December.
Absolutely.
All right, excellent. We are going to be, that's another index now to watch out for from the DIPP. Sir, you're keeping us busy. Any more investors here who'd yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Chaube. I represent Sharaf Group of Industries. It's a global business conglomerate having in 20 countries. They have been here for about more than 15 years, and the total investment was about 1,000 crores. Last 1.5 years, things have changed, and the focus has also shifted. And this week of November, they signed MOU about 7,500 crores for agri-logistic park in different states. And they have committed, of course, this job has made my job slightly difficult, thanks to Invest India, because now we have to just execution of such large number of projects in country different states is not an easy task.
Right.
The second aspect which I wanted is about to speak on something which government should focus on, and probably the investment next big area of investment is the field of logistics.
Right.
Now, the GDP, the cost is about 14%. Or developed countries, 8 to 9%.
Right.
1% reduction in logistic costs works out to 1.5 lakh crores per annum. And this, if you make it 2 or 3%, to make it at par at 8 or 9%, that's 5% difference. So this is an area, which our group is focusing on. Government has, for a change after a long time, has made one nodal government officer responsible for this. That is in the Commerce Ministry. They have got now a special secretary in charge of logistics.
All right.
Only we hope that that really works.
Well,
and the way it is working in other
we hope that that will work. If there's a man in charge, Mr. Abhishek, I'm sure you're going to make sure that it does work, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's so true that we spend 14% of GDP on logistics. But you know, over last many decades, our inland waterways transport is virtually negligible.
Yeah.
30% of the goods move by railways and 70% by road.
This is Mr. Gadkari's dream and pet project.
So now government is making a lot of investments, but we really need to fix this. We need to move goods by the cheapest mode of transport. GST is going to help a lot.
Sure.
We need to develop our coastal shipping, but these are all results will come in the medium and long term.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Gaurav Mathur and I head Teva in India. Teva is the largest pharmaceutical company in the world on generic side. We have a significant presence in India in manufacturing and R&D, employing about 4,000 people. So a couple of thoughts and then a question at the end. First of all, great day to organize the town hall. Lovely air. So that's... but it's nice and clear, so good evening to organize it. Second, I think big congratulations to the team DIPP Invest India for the rankings, and we know this is work in progress, but it's really nice the jump that has been made. The question I have is that we have Invest India at the central government level, which is acting really in a very good way, as has been echoed, to help us resolve our problems or help us facilitate us. Are there plans to encourage this at the state levels? Because as some of the people mentioned here, while the intent is extremely good and the implementation is very helpful,
Specific states that you're having issues with?
well, let's not go there. But I think that would also be very helpful because I think regulations and so on.
All right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Actually, many states had investment in promotion agencies much earlier. It is the central government that has been the laggard, actually.
Yeah.
We had Invest India incorporated in 2009 and it was virtually defunct. So it has been revived in 2015 under the new government because our Prime Minister had the experience of having a very effective investment promotion agency in Gujarat.
In Gujarat, yeah.
That's how the Prime Minister's office has driven setting up of Invest India as the prime national investment facilitation agency. But many states are having pretty effective ones.
Okay.
And we are coordinating very closely with them now. I mean, as a matter of fact, soon we are going to have a brainstorming with all the state IPAs so that we coordinate our efforts as a nation.
Okay, so one perhaps coordinated agency to take this forward. Very quickly before we take a break, yes.
So one interesting thing that we're doing, again, this is something which complements, the other big 3-year EODB initiative with states, which is basically where we are focusing on working with the IPAs, the investment promotion agencies. Invest India's mandate is to make the state IPAs amongst the best in the world, a lot of cross-learning with each other, and really intensify Invest India's working with the states. In the last 30 days, we have spent time with around 9 states, and by 15th January, we plan to cover, all the states in the country. So there's like detailed, intensive, day-long, workshops which we are doing with the states.
Well, that is good to hear, and we'll check with you on the 15th of January if you've managed to cover all of India or not. On that note, we'll take another break, but when we return, we get concluding remarks here on the Ease of Doing Business Town Hall on CNBC TV18 in partnership with Invest India. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Ease of Doing Business Town Hall here on CNBC TV18. We're in conversation with the DIPP Secretary, the CEO of Invest India, Deepak Bagla, and a whole host of foreign investors from a bunch of different countries who are investing in India. Grievance redressal is going to be one of the critical issues that foreign investors will hope will be taken up. So let me very quickly ask you what the experience is and what is the chief complaints that they come to you with.
Sure. See, whilst there's been a lot of focus on ease of doing business in India, for a new investor who's coming here as a greenfield project, it can be really overwhelming and it can be daunting to really navigate at the ground level, especially at the states. They can face a lot of delays because they don't know who the nodal agency is in the first place. As an example, one leading auto component manufacturer, they were facing so many delays in getting their approvals that their internal rate of return was getting impacted, and the board required convincing that they can still go ahead with this investment. That's where an organization like Invest India comes in play, where we tie up, where we have very strong relationships with the central ministries and the state nodal agencies, and this working relationship proves to be a catalyst to fasten the process for a soon resolution as such. And this particular manufacturer, after they came to us, got all their approvals just within a week.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, and you're absolutely right that it does take long, and that then impacts the viability of the entire project, making it a difficult decision at the board level. But yeah, you had a question, comment as well.
Yeah, my name is Harpreet. I work with Bloom Ventures. We are an early stage venture capital firm. A lot of our startups again were at the edge of innovation. What we have been observing is that with Invest India, it is much easier for them to get the right support and navigate their way through many ministries and also in state. And over a period of time, we have observed that this government also has been working very closely on helping our business, which is venture capital and private equity, primarily broadly private equity, to get across and solve for the issues that have been holding us back for a really long time. Right? For example, it is now possible, they have done away with the DTA with Mauritius. It's now possible to bring all the money into India, which was a big hassle. We have also observed that some of our companies like, a company called Turtlemint, which is an insurance web aggregator, has got the right support in terms of getting their way through, and so on and so forth. There's so many examples, small examples where ease of doing the business has really become easier to do in India.
Well, that's good to hear. Any investors or yes, a young entrepreneur, I would imagine, sitting right at the back. If you can jump in quickly. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Kannappa and I'm from Cochin. We are running a startup called IRO, and we are in the development of underwater drones, which is for the inspection of critical infrastructures. So particularly I want to mention again about Uday Manjul itself. He actually came over there.
Uday is a rock star, man.
So actually, we have been developing a product and we are in the prototype stage, and it was like 6 months back only. Just met once and then he shared his card and just said, if you have any trouble, just get in touch with me. And as it started, it's like every mail is
Uday, can I have your number at the end of this show?
It's really true that every mail is immediately replied, and it's not about just the request we go. He's going beyond that also, and since he understood that we are in the need of some seed funding, he has taken us so further that now he has put up through with the state of Chhattisgarh, so where they are trying to give us a grant, which is actually a 50 lakh moratoria, 3 years free loan.
Nice.
So that's one of the
So when do your underwater drones start?
Actually, we are 1 year back. Just 1 year old only, and currently we have a prototypes and which is being tested, and we are also in interaction with DRDOs, and also we are working with some of the shipping industry particularly for their inspection.
Okay.
And as you said about the policy making, as we are simply starting off the prototype itself, Uday has taken the step also to just modify and check out how to make the policy also. Regulations are very important, because whenever the term drone comes in, there is always a criticality of regulations.
Yes.
So he right away caught the point.
So now a draft policy is actually been put out.
He's actually working on with that.
Great. So let me get the young leaders here on the program as well. I'll come to you, sir, in just a second, but let me get the young leaders who are here with us. Go ahead. Your experience on the ground, and share with us what you've seen so far.
So, adding on to the experience of my other colleagues over here, it is very daunting for a new investor who's looking at a greenfield project in India, across all the states, where each state is almost like a new country for them altogether. So we have been working very closely with all these states to get them on board and help them pitch the right customized plan as per the specific requirements of the company. And what it also helps is not only help them drive investment into the country, but also helps the company to drive their business for export and for the local market, because India as a market cannot be ignored.
Ignored, absolutely. That's very, very clear. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am Vinay Singhal. I am on the board of IUIH. This is a UK company which is trying to bring $2 billion of investment into India. And when we started, the biggest issue was whom do we contact and what do we do? The project had been blessed by the Prime Minister Modi and Cameron on the other side, but how to navigate here. And in that, I must say, an agency like Invest India does wonders. And there comes again this gentleman. So, Uday, that is why I was saying, let me add into that list quickly. Now, in my opinion, the biggest issue which has been pointed out all the time by those who have worked in India, and I have most of my life worked in India, that center, okay, center moves, but how to move in the state? And this issue of grading these states or giving them the ranking is a great thing, because seeing each other, the whole process was started by Modi in Gujarat, and now it has spread all over the country. So that is very, very good. And if it continues like this, it will be excellent.
I guess he's walking away with the High Performance Award this evening, right? That goes to Uday clearly. Yes, sir, you had a quick comment to make. We'll just pass the microphone across to you.
Yeah, Uday rocks here again. So I'm Jitendra Hegde. I'm from Plasma Vital India. It is the collaboration between UK and India. So basically, this is the company which is venturing into medical devices coating. This is the first kind of in India. Actually, this is the first UK investment in India, actually, in the service sector plus the manufacturing sector.
Okay.
So this will give a leap-bound leak in terms of, getting international manufacturer also getting coated in India,
right,
as well as it also give the, coating, medical coating experience to Indian manufacturer as well. So my big thanks to Invest India, and once more, Uday to be, very proactive and getting the regulation cleared.
Okay, so we're pretty much at the end of our time. Did you have a quick comment to make? If it's about Uday, then I'm not giving you the microphone.
I actually wanted to take a few more names. So Karan and Ronak and Dhruv and Vivek. So it's Uday, I haven't interacted with you, but I'm sure if I did, I would take your name as well. So my name is Neha. I'm from a company called Showfile, a very early stage startup into video technology. And it's been a fantastic experience with Invest India. And one of the things that I want to comment on is the expertise of the team. So I think the team really guides you well and really is invested in your success. If they believe in your product, then they will make sure that you succeed. And I must say that my first pilot company was referred to by Invest India, so thanks a lot for that.
Great. A big round of applause to all the young people. Very quickly, sir, we're completely out of time.
Thank you for invitation. I have only, no doubt Uday is one of the major catalysts, but I have one suggestion. We invest in India for two purposes. One is for generation of employment. Second is invest technology in India. Till we invest technology in India, our long-term business will not survive, will not go to ages. So I request Invest in India, invest technology in India. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, we're completely out of time. Mr. Abhishek, I'll give you the final say. Deepak Bagla, let me come to you for concluding remarks. Very quickly, what should we expect now? We're almost at the end of this calendar year. Priorities for 2018. What do you hope to achieve?
Shireen, thank you. If you really look at it, we are at an inflection point where India is concerned. We are standing at the threshold of a new India. And the Prime Minister's call on the reform, perform and transform. What you've seen is the reform bit. We have the most open economy on the planet today. 90% of the FDI, and we are the #1 FDI nation, as you know, in the past 3 years, has come in without any approval requirement. Now is the time when we are seeing that performance and transformation. So when you're seeing a 30-point jump, which the World Bank calls incredible, for that matter, these are all now the results. What you're seeing here is the story of New India. In fact, if I may just add, the story of Invest India is the story of New India. Because essentially it's a startup. It actually really got it operational from October 2015.
Right.
And within 2 years, it has been rated by UNCTAD as the #1 investment promotion agency of the world.
Wow.
From nowhere. So these are the stories which you will now start hearing of the New India going forward.
Okay.
And I think, as I said, the future is now and the story is just begun.
All right, and I'll give you the final say. DIPP Secretary Ramesh Abhishek, sir, 2018 almost here. The priorities, targets that you've set for the team.
I think whatever has happened so far is just tip of the iceberg. As we showed in the 30 rank jump, We are going to do much, much more than that. And we have just started. The FDI that has come in so far is nothing compared to the potential that we have. And the amount of work that our young people are doing in Invest India, we can do it 10 times more. But we gradually need to build our capacities. We need to reach out to a much bigger audience and tell them we need to fix our processes and systems. And this mindset change happening. I think we have just started in the last 2-3 years, and we have a long way to go, and we will get there.
FDI target, sir?
See, even compared to last year, which was the highest ever of $60 billion, till August we have made a 30% growth. So I don't mean, where it's going to stop, nobody knows.
Where is it going to stop? Nobody knows. That's a philosophical note to end this program on. Ramesh Abhishek, Deepak Bagla, the Invest India team and investors who've joined us here this evening. Many, many thanks for joining us on the Ease of Doing Business Town Hall. Appreciate your participation here. And we hope to see you again next year with bigger numbers and more geographies that we've managed to attract FDI from and more markets where we've managed to send our exports out to. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this CNBC TV18 special from all of us here. Many thanks for watching. Goodbye. Good night.